All of it comes at a time when neighboring NATO countries are on high alert following an accusation that Russia breached Romanian airspace. This is the second intrusion into an eastern NATO nation's airspace in less than a week. Romania's defense ministry says a Russian drone used in the fight against Ukraine was spotted Saturday evening for about 50 minutes. In a statement, the agency said fighter jets did not open fire on it because of the collateral risks. On Wednesday, Poland and NATO allies shot down Russian drones that entered Polish airspace. One of them smashed into a two-story brick house while the owner was watching news about the incursion. It marks the first time a member of the Western military alliance is known to have fired shots during Russia's war with Ukraine. For more, let's bring in Harley Lippman, founder and CEO of Genesis10 and a foreign policy expert. Welcome to the show.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So first Poland, now Romania. What is the Russian president trying to achieve by violating the airspace of NATO countries?
He's testing NATO's resolve. So it's extremely important that NATO react quite assertively so that Putin doesn't get any ideas and somehow make inroads into NATO nations or even contemplate an attack on a NATO nation. Because remember, Putin wants to restore the Russian Empire. He's all about his legacy. He's all about increasing the Russian footprint.
If a NATO country becomes a Russian target, what would happen then?
Well, there is Article 5 of NATO, which basically says an attack on one is an attack on all. So that would be a dangerous, dramatic escalation and could prompt a world war in Europe.
Now, we did hear from Dmitry Peskov, the spokesman for Russia President Vladimir Putin, saying, quote, NATO is at war with Russia. Is this the first step to justifying an attack on a NATO country?
It could be. NATO is not at war with Russia. This is purely an excuse, a pretext for Russia to either test NATO's readiness, resolve, or even, as I mentioned earlier, to contemplate seriously and begin the process of an outright attack on a NATO nation. Because Putin believes that these nations were taken from Russia unfairly as the Cold War was coming to an end. And so he's acting on it. And power is the only thing that's going to stop Putin. So it's really important that NATO nations be aligned, even countries like Spain that are as much of the GDP as the other nations have been. But it all of them unite because I believe there are 32 NATO nations. And Europe has a population of 550 million. Russia has only a population of 130 million. Europe could stand up to Russia, but they have to be united and they have to have the resolve to show Putin that they're willing to go to war. Absent that, Putin may take the initiative and go to war. And that would be a tragedy of monumental proportions.
Speaking about being united, in a Truth Social post over the weekend, President Trump said he will do major sanctions on Russia when all NATO nations stop buying oil from Russia. What do you think of this approach?
I think it's great. You know, basically what he's saying is this conflict is in Europe's backyard. You have the most to gain and most to lose in this. So really Europe has to at least, what the United States has learned over decades is that we can't care more than our allies. And this was true whether it be Vietnam, Afghanistan, Iraq. The United States wants to see a lot of skin in the game of Europe. And if they do that, I think that'll prompt the United States to stand with Europe and to stand with NATO against Russia.
Harley Lippman, thank you so much.
My pleasure.